This is a forum where I'm going to be able to speak freely about movies that I want to watch, blockbuster films, prestige films, and then there are movies like Tom and Jerry. This is the first movie I decided to review. I did this to myself! So the first thing I thought to myself while watching animated pigeons lip sync A Tribe Called Quest, Can I Kick It? At the opening montage of Tim Story's Who Framed Roger Rabbit live action / animated wannabe comedy, Tom and Jerry was, it's nice to take a time machine back to 1998. Because while the film is meant to play off the nostalgia of the two main animated leads, their decades-long feud, and the shenanigans that went with it, apart from the old ultra-violence that the duo was known for and really just made me think of the more superior cartoons, the film plays more along the lines of Jingle All the Way in tone. And I don't think Sinbad could have saved this movie either. So despite my feelings about this movie, and I think by now it's pretty obvious, there is one universal truth that I think we all can agree on for anyone that's watched this movie unilaterally. And that is Jerry is a dick. So the film opens with both Tom and Jerry arriving to New York City. Tom with dreams of performing with John Legend, which is never mentioned again, and Jerry arriving with issues finding a place to stay because he can't make money, which is never mentioned again. Well, Tom decides he's going to do some street performing with his keyboard, and he sets up shop in Central Park, and he's doing pretty good. He's making money, making tips, and here comes this motherfucking mouse. But this mouse takes over Tom's act and starts dancing in front of him. And the bystanders start to donate to Jerry's can. And what makes it even worse is those same bystanders start taking their money that they donated to Tom and start giving it to Jerry. So not only do I hate Jerry, but I also hate the city of New York. But let's talk about the world in which Tom and Jerry exist. So all animals are two-dimensional animated creatures, sort of like Mary Poppins, or Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or Song of the... no. Just forget that one. But all the animals are two-dimensional animated entities, and it just made me think of a few really weird questions. So how does humanity differentiate an animal like Tom, who can be hired to do human things, as opposed to someone like Spike, voiced by Bobby Cannavale, who's on a leash and is basically treated like a slave, compared to other animals that we eat? So Ken Jeong is in this, and he plays a chef, and we see moments where there are zebra steaks and beef steaks, and they're animated. So how do we digest our animated meat, and what does that look like? And if you grow up slaughtering meat, what's that experience like? Is it like Watership Down? I mean, yeah. That would be really fucking traumatizing. So the main plot of this movie doesn't even revolve around Tom and Jerry, but around Chloe Grace Moretz's character, Chloe Grace Moretz from Kick-Ass, Suspiria, and Greta. Well, she plays a character named Kayla, a grifter, and when we are introduced to her, she is conning her way into a job that she is not qualified for by manipulating another more qualified individual to bow out of the job that she wants as a coordinator for a wedding for a high society couple in New York City. This is our protagonist. Jerry finds his way into the same hotel, and because Jerry is a dick, decides to cause havoc. Kayla Kayla is forced to find a solution, so the wedding between Colin Joss and Pallavi Sharda goes without a hitch, and to do so, she hires Tom. At the same time, the film tries to frame Michael Pena as the hotel's manager as a villain who is trying to out Kayla for the scam artist that she is. Oh gee, I wonder what shenanigans will happen next. So I must take a minute or two or 30 to applaud the performance by Chloe Grace Moretz in this movie. In every scene, she is dilated and glistening like she is high off of everything. And obviously, she is someone who scams large hotels out of their free continental breakfast, so I suppose it is possible she is a really bad drug addict. But there are moments where it looks like she is seeing Neil Patrick Harris on a unicorn, or she wants to fuck Tom in the same scene. I wish I was joking about this. And yet, I didn't outright hate her performance. I just think it was off. It's clear that she has great comedic timing and has the capability of being a great comedic actress. The rest of this movie, though, can fuck right off. This is one of the laziest pieces of shit I have seen come out of Hollywood in a long time. And we have gone through eight Adam Sandler original Netflix comedies. The original Tom and Jerry cartoons work because they are 6-minute short films that tell clear stories with clearly defined rules in a self-contained world. Tim Story, the director who directed Barbershop and the original Fantastic Four films, tries to take this 6-minute short and stretch it out into a 90-minute runtime, and does so by using the same old tired tropes like taking Tom and Jerry as fish out of water, instead turning them into a cat and mouse out of water, transplanting them into New York City. I'm surprised the producers decided not to transplant them in the city a week before Christmas. It's one of those films from the mid-90s to early 2000s where the soundtrack was all hip-hop and R&B for no reason whatsoever, except for moments where we would get that whimsical comedy score complete with that goddamn xylophone. Tom and Jerry destroy an entire hotel room to Rakim's Don't Sweat the Technique, while Jerry just happens to be chilling in a room by himself, listening to Jodeci, which opens a whole new set of questions. And I do not want to go down this Robert Kirkman-drawn rabbit hole. This is not a kid's movie when you really start to think about it. But the big set piece is a wedding, complete with tigers and elephants and other animals brought to you by Ralph Bashki. And what do you know? Jerry is a dick and ruins everything. And we also find out that not only is he a thief, but he's an extortionist because he's an anarchist that wants to bring misery to the world. Seriously, fuck this mouse. This movie also has a serious issue with cultural representation. Now, this is an issue with animation in general, but when you're watching a movie like this where every line is clearly written by committee, it really stands out. So Tom runs into a group of alley cats and runs into one of his nemesis, Butch, who is voiced by Nicky Jam. And we see Butch and his crew, and we get to listen to that crew and how they talk.
Sure what it looks like.
This is our alley pump, which makes this our hotel.
Then there's the issue with Michael Pena's hotel manager character. So we have this thick accented Latino man who's thick accented for no other reason than to make sure that we know that he's not white. And he works hard to become the hotel manager of this establishment, only to have his career completely jeopardized and ruined by this grifter, a white woman who is unqualified. And everyone takes her word over his, even though he is doing everything in his power and the right thing to expose her for the fraud that she is. Oh, and I also can't forget the young, very good-looking African-American male who is friend-zoned from the jump, but if he was white, would probably be a love interest. But I'm not going to get into a discussion about the cultural politics of American cinema. Anyway, this movie sucked. It sucked dick. Like how Jerry's a dick. Not like how Jerry strokes his dick, and now you have that image in your head too. And that is the natural disaster that Warner Brothers and HBO Max has unleashed on all of us. Actually, I'm glad this is the first review that I'm doing for this channel. It actually sets a few ground rules. I'm not a movie snob. I don't like every prestige movies. I like silly shit. I think Tyler Perry and Taraji P. Henson could be kind of a inverted Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro if they wanted to. I love the Fast and Furious movies. If Tom and Jerry wanted to embrace the silliness of their universe, they could have. But they needed to have a compelling story and characters that we cared about, and the movie accomplished neither. Instead, it recycled the same old comedy tropes, including the same old Tom and Jerry gags from literally 100 years ago, and just gave us characters that we didn't like or care about. Except for Tom. All he wanted to do was perform with John Legend. And Jerry ruined that. Half a Lenny! This is one of the absolute worst movies of the year so far. It's actually such a shitty animated movie that it made me completely forget to talk about the most important part of the movie, the animation. It was okay. It was 3D animation trying to be rendered to 2D animation. Wasn't that distracting, frame rate a little off sometimes. Didn't make Jerry any less of an asshole. This is why I'm a cat person.